Today I want to talk to all the people out there who are trying their best to be honest people. And I start by challenging you. Just because you're not lying doesn't mean you're being fully honest. Today we're going to talk about the different types of honesties, the kind of levels of honesty that you can achieve. You see, honesty is on a spectrum. There's honesty and then there's dishonesty. So anything that's deliberately deceptive or manipulative or untruthful is dishonesty. Now, once you're not doing any of that stuff, you're now into the realm of honesty. But an absence of dishonesty doesn't mean that you're fully honest. You can't call yourself an honest person just because you're not lying and deceiving people. So let's talk about the spectrum from weak to powerful honesty. To make this easier to describe, I've broken up honesty into 4 different types. The first type is easy factual honesty. This is where you talk about objective things, narrating on what's going on in life, giving facts and information. Nothing that's emotional, nothing that's vulnerable, nothing that's intimately personal, but also it's always truthful. So I might say the weather looks nice today, or I saw my cousin on the weekend, or that report's due tomorrow. These are all facts, they're all truthful, there's nothing dishonest about it, but there's also nothing that you can use in this information to harm me. It's very safe information, very easy information. It takes no courage or no effort to talk about it. That's the kind of honesty level that most people can achieve. The next level up from that is what I'd call vulnerable or intimate honesty. So this is where you now start to talk about things that are personal to you, and you reveal your weaknesses and your insecurities and your desires and your dreams and things that make you who you are and therefore can be judged. So these are the pieces of information about yourself that you have an emotional attachment to: pride, shame, joy, sadness, depression, anxiety, so on. And other people will now be able to judge you as a person based on this information. See, the next level down, when you're just giving people facts, all you are is a source of information. They can't really judge you as being that source. But when you get to that vulnerable level where you're talking about who you are, what you like and what you don't like, specifically that more than anything else, now they can judge you, now they can like you or dislike you based on who you actually are. So it's what I call vulnerable honesty, because now you're vulnerable to other people's reactions. Most people can get to this level of honesty, but not with everybody. Most people have a very limited range as to how many people they'll be this honest with. And even the people they are vulnerable with, there's a limit to how vulnerable they'll be. There's only so much information they'll share, usually the amount of information they're comfortable sharing. So there are higher levels of vulnerability, which we'll talk about in a second, but most people can be vulnerable with close friends and family. The most confident people can be vulnerable with everyone all the time. The next level up, and this is where we start losing people, confrontational honesty. Now, confrontation is not the same as a conflict. Conflict might be a raging argument, heated debate, emotional, aggressive, defensive, and so on. A confrontation is merely stating a truth that you feel very uncomfortable putting out there because you know it's probably going to get a negative reaction. It's setting boundaries, it's telling people firmly what you will stand for and what you won't stand for. It's letting people know what the limits of your respect are, what your true deep preferences are, who you really are and how they can judge you. And it's about putting them in a position where they have to shit or get off the pot kind of thing. You're going to show them who you really are, and they have to decide they're either going to respect that or they're going to disrespect that. They're either going to like it or they're going to hate it. You're not really giving them a choice to be okay with it. You're really pushing them into a position. That's why we call it confrontational honesty. It's not necessarily that you're provoking a conflict or trying to start a problem. All you're doing is being honest and being truthful, but you're giving out the kind of information that people are likely to react to, like how you feel about them truthfully, what you believe in, what you want, what you don't want, to that like deepest level, that life-changing level, and so on. And this is really the dividing line. I would say in my experience as a coach, as a person in my life, most people are not capable of the confrontational level of honesty, except with very rare exceptions, like their own siblings perhaps, or someone that they're really used to, like a partner. But you can see it with strangers interacting with each other, work colleagues interacting, even a lot of families. They might have conflicts but not confrontations. There's a lot of hidden stuff that people want to say that they're not saying. You'll know that you're not crossing the line into confrontational honesty if there's a lot of "I wish I had said this" going on in your life, a lot of regret about what you didn't say, or a lot of things that you hold in, resentments, bitterness, anger, disappointment, that you don't share with people because you're afraid of their reaction. Sure, you might tell yourself, hey, I'm just trying to protect their feelings, but the truth is it's their feelings that scare you, so you're really just protecting yourself. And next, the highest possible level, once you're already confrontational, is what I'd call humility level honesty. Now, this is where we take vulnerability and we inject it with steroids. This is where you show everything about who you are, particularly showing your humanity, showing that you're not better than other people, that you're not different to other people, that you are just another normal human being. There's nothing special about you. That kind of level of vulnerability is probably the highest form of honesty. See, a lot of people, when they're being just vulnerable, like level 2, they tend to use kind of highlights as a way of either getting attention and impressing people or getting sympathy and pity. So somebody might say, I've had depression my whole life. Now, they're being vulnerable, but they're also kind of seeking some sort of sympathy or pity when they say it. Whereas a truly humble, confident person might say, like everyone else, I go through waves of depression, and sometimes I try to use that to get pity from people. See, it's actually being honest about the reasons for being honest. And I think that's really the best way to describe the highest level of honesty, is when you reveal your true intentions, your real motives, what you're trying to do underneath what you're saying. When you say, I said this because I'm trying to make you think this. We actually reveal that manipulation so that it can't harm anybody, it can't manipulate anybody. But also you're just showing, look, this is exactly what's going on inside me with none of the ugly bits left out. You now know exactly who I am, you know how I function, you know why I do what I do, or at least why I think I do what I do, what my beliefs are underneath what I tell you, and so on. So now, if you hate me, you hate the real me. And if you love me, then you love the real me. Now soon I'm going to be releasing my next book, The Naked Truth, and I'm going to talk about the spectrum of honesty and how to move up it so that you can build your confidence and your shamelessness. Now in the book I talk about the movement from weak to powerful honesty. So those 4 types that I gave you, we started with weak honesty, which is the ability to just talk about facts without lying, through to very powerful honesty, which is the ability to reveal everything about yourself, including your motives for why you're revealing information about yourself, and everything in between. And in the book, I identify there's these 5 factors to powerful honesty. There's these 5 elements or principles to being honest that will keep you at that powerful end of the spectrum, that humble, confrontational, vulnerable, bold end. 1, responsibility. Talk about everything as if you own it, as if you created it. No, you made me feel, or the world's unfair. It's like, no, I made myself feel, I create my own thoughts, I create my own feelings, I choose my own behaviors. Always talking about yourself with that kind of perspective to show that I am responsible for everything that is me. I can't blame it on anybody else. I can't even blame it on myself. There is no fault. There just is what is, and I must own it. 2, boldness. If you're going to say it, fucking say it. Say it like it's the most truthful thing you could ever think of. Sure, you might be wrong, but don't go in there apologetic and hesitant and kind of undermine your truth with a weak delivery. Say it like it's the most important thing you've ever had to say, and always say it like that. You'll see me do it on these videos. Now sometimes I make videos that later I disagree with. Turns out I was talking shit, but I sound very much like I know what I'm talking about in the video. Is that because I'm sure that I'm right? No, it's because I believe in being bold with what you say, even if you're wrong. Number 3, vulnerable. There are a lot of things you could talk about, but there is one obvious truth that's more vulnerable than anything else going on inside you at any given moment. And rather than trying to circle around that to talk about something else, talk about that elephant in the room. Always make sure that's the first thing you put out there. So if, for example, you're at a party and you say something weird and there's an awkward silence, rather than changing the topic, go, well, I guess I made that awkward. And talk about the awkwardness, talk about the weird, uncomfortable thing that nobody wants to talk about. 4, perspective. Always have a cosmic perspective of the truth. Rather than going, oh my God, this week's been so bad because of coronavirus, you can say, you know what, I'm probably struggling with this week. I've had better weeks in the past. I'll have better weeks in the future. This is just a small part of my life. That more cosmic perspective makes you sound less needy and less powerless and less of a victim, and it's much more accurate. Whatever's happening to you right now is a tiny percentage of your life, so it's never a big deal. And lastly, number 5, reciprocation. Know when to stop talking. Long story short, make one point and then stop talking and let the other person have a go. Don't be an oversharer who stacks one point after another without letting another person even breathe or digest the information. And don't be an undersharer who holds back the truth and just keeps things superficial. Say one most important, obvious truth and then shut the fuck up and let somebody else respond. Don't try to manage their response. Don't try to sugarcoat it and add detail to prevent them from having a bad response. Just give them the raw data, then sit back, watch the fireworks. You can solve the mess later. Hopefully that helps you all get a better perspective on the range of honesty available to you. You can start to figure out where you sit. It's usually you're at a different stage with different people. Like with complete strangers, you might be quite superficial, yet with your family members, you're quite deep and vulnerable, and everybody's got like a different position. And understand that full, shameless confidence means that you're fully, powerfully honest with everybody, no matter what the situation is. Yes, it is possible. And no, I have never, ever heard of an example that justifies dishonesty. Never. I've asked people to do it, I still never heard one. I've heard one that has justifications and reasons to it, but never one that says this is the best way to do it, this is the most respectful way to treat people, this is the most powerful way to build confidence. I personally believe that honesty is always the best policy because I have tested the shit out of this. I spent most of my life being mostly dishonest and I ended up miserable with low quality connections and feeling lost in life. I've spent the remainder of my time trying to be as powerfully honest as possible, and my quality of life has gone on a massive upward trend in all areas, and I know it's directly because of my switch over to being more honest. And since coaching people for 6+ years now to do the same thing, I've seen undeniable evidence that this is the best way forward, at least for people who want to connect and build confidence. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and get in touch, dan@brojo.org, if you have any further questions or you want more support with this, and I'll catch you all next time.